Hey everyone, Piece of Casual Gaming Dad here. It's Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. and we're back with part two of my new series, a research series of sorts regarding Ashes of Creation. I started this last week, like recently, and I got some really good feedback. And it's thanks to that feedback that I got that I decided to continue this in this type of setting. I was always going to do this research for my own interest in the game, but because I saw such a good response and I had some great interactions with people that was really enjoyable for me, I decided to make it something that I can comment on and share with others. You'll notice that I've updated my streams here on Twitch. And if you're watching this on YouTube, check out my Twitch if you'd like to see this live and follow so that you'll know when I'm going to be doing these streams. But I've updated my times to around this time of day for a couple hours during the week. And I'll also be streaming some gaming in the evening time. At this time, it's going to be World of Warcraft for the time being with some friends of mine. We're going to be playing Burning Crusade Classic. But nonetheless, I want to take some more time to go over some of these past videos as I'm educating myself and learning more about the game and giving my thoughts on it. Again, this is a casual gamer perspective. There's lots of hardcore players out there, and I'm sure lots of them have their thoughts on this game. And that's what I started with. I started with Asmongold. He's a hardcore player, and that's where I found out about the game. But I am not a hardcore player. I'm a casual gamer. My goal in gaming is to have fun, plain and simple. At least for a while now at my age, and I don't see that changing. So I'm going to be covering this. If you're watching this after the fact, if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, which I also upload these videos there, and that's also where I've gotten great feedback. Please leave a like, consider subscribing for future content. I'm going to be covering this game indefinitely up until its launch and beyond that as well, because I'm starting to feel really, really good about it. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I do plan to play it. I'm leaning towards a beta as well, which you can purchase ahead of time to support the game developers. So that's the thought process I have now. We'll see as time goes. And I just want to say again that your support and your feedback is what inspires me and encourages me to create this kind of content. So thank you for your time. I know your time is valuable. I know how valuable my time is, so for you to give me your time I understand the value in that. So let's continue. So last time, you'll see here, I decided to go just about 9 months out. When I first saw Lazy Peon's video and I reacted to that, that was around this time frame, and so I decided to start from there. Last time we went over some of the hybrid combat as well as some of the mounts and the different types of mounts, and it was very exciting to see. So today it looks like there's going to be some combat footage that we're going to go through. I don't think I'm going to watch the entire hour and a half, but we will watch a very, very large portion of that, as well as look at this. Well, we have a little preview here of the cleric. So the goal today is going to be those. We'll see about after that. It has come to my attention as well that they're doing monthly live streams on the fourth Friday of the month, so stay tuned for that because we're going to have that next week, and I'm definitely planning to set aside some extra time on that day to be present for that stream so that we can react to it live. But I digress. Let's go. Let's continue. Let's leave a like to support them so more people will see these videos. And here we go. Let's get back this. Oh! Whoa.
Welcome to our glorious Ashes of Creation's
I really like her outfit. I love the color green. It's my favorite color. He's a Paw Patrol, if you don't know, and Steven is a person in COVID.
have a lot of things to go over, so bear with us. We'll try to get it all jam-packed in an hour, but we do have quite a bit. So quickly, I will just kind of go around and introduce our lovely people we have here. I'm obviously Margaret Crone. I'm the Community and Marketing Lead for Intrepid Studios. And with me is Stephen Sharif, who's our Creative Director, as well as Jeff
6 months ago. This must have been right around Halloween, right before there. So.
Probably seen their lovely faces. You guys look amazing. Jeff,
Paw
your
Patrol,
costume's
is that
so
right?
cute.
Yeah, Jeff, what are you?
I'm Marshall.
Oh.
Does he not know that? Does he be living? He must not have kids.
The same thing I was last year. Time traveler from the future, warning of a global pandemic.
I shake my head at you, Stephen. I shake my head at you.
You should
So
have a
bad.
little
There's no way he was
I
that in
last year
2019.
in October. That was like multiple months prior to.
Let me see if they have timestamps.
Yeah, and they're still not.
They
listening.
do. So there's quick
I
updates.
don't know how you got quieter for some reason. If you can check that.
Let's go to studio updates.
Creative Director's Letter, which I will pop up on screen the timeline once you get to that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, as many of you likely have read, we did release the Creative Director's Letter in October, and in that letter we did reveal the testing date schedule
Isn't he the creative
for
director?
Alpha 1. Now, this is the schedule as it is today, but with development, it is entirely possible. I want to make sure we're setting the right expectations. It is entirely possible that as these periods come about, there are things that we need to address, or there could be delays that occur based on kind of our iterating through what we're learning from these different test dates. So keep that in mind, be cognizant of that. However, as things stand, we do have the first testing with all Alpha 1 participants coming up in December. Before they test.
Pre-test.
Servers. That will be
And then
under
there's
NDA.
the
However,
Alpha 1 that
I will be obviously
got delayed
continuing
now.
with
It was
Studio
supposed to be in June.
releasing,
but-
video content of those events. So you can
because Burning Crusade kind of interfered with that. That may or may not have been intentional on Blizzard's part. I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
kind of see the state of the game during the NDA relevant
No
tests.
NDA.
And then following up on that in February, there'll be an additional 4-day test preparing for the month-long Alpha 1 that will still be under NDA. And then come March, we will have a 1-week test in preparation for the full month test. That will not be under NDA, and we will be inviting our official content creators, of which we will be releasing more information, probably around the start of the new year for what that content
Full
creator
wipe,
program
full
looks
wipe,
like.
full
And
wipe.
we're
Okay.
doing some work on that with the
Makes
community
sense.
team and preparing the official content creator
Yes.
program for next year.
I'm working
So
very
excited to
diligently.
Yes, and we're excited to kind of to roll that out. Additionally, as you guys have probably been aware of the last couple of live streams, we did go through our hiring period, our hiring phase, and that is predominantly finished. There still obviously are going to be positions that are left up on the Intrepid
Okay, I'm
Studios
going to move past this
website,
part because I'm
and that's
sure this is
because
kind of
we're
out of
always
date.
Design update. Do we want
Let's go to the
take
design
the
update.
Yeah, but let me.
This is what we're really
preface this.
interested in.
So we did a little short video, and just to give you guys an idea, as we've been leading up to the December test for Alpha 1, we've been trying to optimize as much as possible a lot of the network traffic that occurs on the server, the processing that happens on different server workers, and obviously one of the largest, most costly aspect of of the gameplay is player movement, and the more players you include in an area, the higher player density, the kind of exponential that replication occurs between knowing the position and updates of players around you that are relevant, and as you add more players, that becomes very, very, very a lot. So the engineering team has been working pretty diligently, at least over the past few weeks, on optimizing as much as possible the way movement in Unreal Engine works, kind of customizing a little bit, what we need for Ashes of Creation for that to encompass a large portion of players. Now, yesterday, the smaller amount of people, I think we only had about 80-ish that were connected in a very dense location, everybody around each other. But that gives us good metrics for us to kind of understand how that's going to scale as it goes up even further.
As it goes up a lot
So I
higher.
wanted to just take a quick little video to kind of show the progress in seeing those amount of players, kind of their movement being fluid and smooth around each other, kind of getting that up a lot better than
Can I just say, I can't remember the last time that a company got a launch done right, despite all their testing. You know, I think one of the best pieces of advice I could give any company moving forward with these types of games, and especially with one with seems to be a considerable amount of hype, you need a really big stress test, and you got to be prepared. You got to be over prepared. Don't be over prepared to get a stupid amount of people on day one. Stupid amount.
where it was.
Because you're going to create a bad first impression, right? And people just don't forget that. And you lose players, you lose people. It kills morale. It really does. Like yesterday, I wanted to play Burning Crusade Classic, and with my friends, and we couldn't play because the servers weren't done till, well, I don't know exactly when because I went to bed, but I'm sure at least midnight. It kept changing. It kept going back and back and back and back, and it's like Blizzard could have planned that better, and it's so typical, right? It's just what we come to expect, but that shouldn't be the bar. The bar needs to be high.
2 months ago and 2 months prior to that, it's a process. But what you're going to see is just a short little PvP battle at a castle. Obviously, very, very important to keep in mind, a lot of the effects are still very first pass, and many have not had an opportunity to take second passes on. So you're going to see them being, maybe overly bright, a little oversized, but that kind of stuff is easy to kind of second pass on. So that's why we don't prioritize it, early on. So don't take too much issue with the over effect stuff there.
And animations
I appreciate the transparency. I do.
So there might be some changes that you'll see coming along the lines of those as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So just wanted to preface.
They preface that every stream. At least what I've seen so far, and that's fine. I think transparency is important. Okay.
Hello everybody, welcome to another video inside the pre-alpha testing for our Alpha 1. As you can see, I'm surrounded by some fellow compatriots here outside the castle. They are jumping up and down like crazy.
They're excited.
Good old
Ready to
day
show
of
off.
testing. I'm joined by Margaret Crone, our community marketing lead, and Sarah
Where's Toast?
Flanagan, our
Toast, are you here, Toast? Toast.
I'm gonna.
Whoa, that's cool looking.
I'm on. I'm on the defending side.
So just to give you guys a little bit of a refresh, as you guys know, we're working currently towards Alpha 1. A lot of what we've been doing in today's test has been iterating upon some of the player character movement and how that needed to be a little smoothed up. And we've gotten some good progress out of today's testing. Compliments of our glorious engineering team, in particular, Adam Pippish has been doing a great job on the
I don't see Toast. Where's Toast?
updates. So
Toasty.
but what you guys can see
My
now
little
is
halfling
we're
Toast.
a castle. And as you guys know, castles can be owned by guilds, essentially guilds that are capable of winning the siege, the initial siege of a castle, and defending it over time. Some of the things we talked about in the past, a little bit about castle sieges, is that in the weeks preceding the actual castle siege, there will be nodes that the owning guild will have to kind of develop. And part of that development is kind of collecting taxes from the nodes that exist under the purview of that economic region that this castle has holds control over. So while obviously not all the systems are in place for Alpha, what we thought we'd do today is demonstrate a little bit of some group combat within the castle. There is an objective inside this particular castle right now. There is a little tax caravan in there. And as the attackers, we are going to try to
Oh, that was cool.
inside.
Some kind of a teleport of sorts.
And see if we can destroy some of the
Try. You could try to eliminate.
Are you on the enemy team, Margaret?
I am on the enemy.
Oh my gosh.
Or
you're
am I
a
spy?
traitor. Are you spy? What's the defenders doing there?
They're not setting up in a defending position like they should be. Oh, they're all angry now that I said that.
Well, there's no time like the present, so let us see if we can.
Let's see what happens.
We can get in there, guys. Let's move forward. Let's
Get
charge.
all their buffs.
Don't shoot until you see the whites in their eyes.
I'm coming after you, Maggie.
You can try, come at me. I have
Alright,
people to protect me.
As the tank, I'll run in first.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Couldn't see anything there.
Kill the purple ones.
Oof.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
Want to cheat a little bit?
Cheater.
Hold on. Let me. Hold on. Oh, okay. I'm good. I'm impervious. They can't harm me.
He's a little hard as a healer right now.
Oh my gosh. He gave himself a stupid amount of life. Why are they purple? Does that indicate the enemy or?
Oh, where's my
I
where's
saw
my
you,
attack?
Steven.
Get over here.
Yeah, they gotta deal with the, like, cause you can't see through that at all. Gotta deal with that a little bit. Where's Toast? Oh, that lighting game looks cool.
No, you killed me.
Oh, my fellow attackers are here.
How come he's purple now?
Clear the field and let's try to take down the caravan.
Oh, that caravan has a lot of life. It's a lot
Where's the caravan?
lot of fire and brimstone there.
Oh, they're coming in from the west.
Spell not ready. Spell not ready. Now that spell not ready right there. I mean, it's probably a placeholder. That's kind of annoying. I wouldn't want to see that all the time.
This poor horse is so nonchalant.
Yeah, there's all that stuff going on. That horse should be dead.
Stop them from killing our
You'll never
caravan.
get back in time.
And I think we can do it.
It's almost out.
Stop reach quit.
Hey, we got it. Oh, you can loot stuff. Try to loot stuff.
Gave himself way too much life. That cheater. You chet. God dang, that really obstructs your view. And there's that smoke and
I
whatnot.
found Adam.
Taking my life, but they can't take my dignity.
No, we gotta run. Retreat. What fat loot did you get, Steven?
I don't know. I think I got some weird tax.
What?
I don't know what.
I worked so
think that
hard
might have
for
been
that
gold.
money.
I think it might have been gold.
To pay our mayor, GM Alex.
But anyways, guys,
Got it all in one place now.
just wanted to show you some of the very early Alpha 1 combat. Obviously, we're going through a significant overhaul of the combat stat system. In addition, you'll likely see in the non-NDA version of the Alpha 1 some major changes in the general feel and appearance of combat as our designers are continuing to
That's pretty cool.
iterate on the testing that we've done thus far. So,
A little chaotic, but
kinda tuning in and
it's-
watching this
it's
video.
early
Obviously,
Alpha 1,
as I said,
you know,
it's early,
so.
but you'll be able to then see, hey, Alex, what are you trying to do here? Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at this unadulterated anger. from Alex.
Yeah, I'm watching some of that.
Anyways, we'll see you guys back on the stream.
See ya. Alright, so we're just going to have the gameplay kind of playing in the background while we chat. But I noticed that there was a lot of comments in regards to specifically the particle effects, which we did address before we played the video.
Right.
But if you want to talk a little bit about that again.
Yeah. And just to kind of give you guys ideas, right? Like,
as I was watching the stream and it's okay. Great. As we develop, and our effects artist, which Jim is a very, very talented effects artist, as you can see with the effects. But when it comes to kind of polishing those effects, that includes a few factors. One, some of the effects need significant reductions in their general size. And that's because obviously as you enter into kind of raid situations, whether it be raid versus raid or PvE events where you have a lot of players that are kind of using these effects, not only will the effects be customizable on the client side to kind of tune them to a degree, but also our second and third passes from the FX team is going to be taking a look at reducing some of these sizes like the black hole effect or the template that's on the ground for the meteor effect. The brightness of particles is also something that gets
that's what I was commenting on. That's what I noticed.
Iterated on. Some of the particles are very bright as well, but
it's just dense, like thick, hard to see through.
From an effects pass standpoint, you have these lists of abilities that exist, obviously with all the different classes that are present, and as you're running through to get effects in place for all of them, you're making these first passes on each of these abilities, and that's getting implemented into the game's development. Now, you guys may have heard the term like gray box when referring to games that are in development. If they don't have an asset, they'll use a gray box, right? Or they'll throw something in that's kind of placeholder. Our approach is similar in that regard with effects, right? In the sense that we're not throwing in gray box particles per se, right? We're throwing in a representation of what the particle coloration is going to be, how its interaction is going to look like, but it just hasn't had that second and third pass. So you're going to see that kind of often through different alpha footages that you're going to get in Alpha 1, because our philosophy is let's throw the first pass in there, and then as we kind of get all of those in place for each of the classes, then we'll go back and do second pass. We'll tune them appropriately.
And I think there were some concerns about color blindness and epilepsy and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys want to kind of talk about that and address that a little bit. Obviously, I know that'll be further down the line as well, but those are things that you guys are definitely thinking about as you're creating these things, right?
Makes sense.
For sure.
There's going to be people.
Little known fact. I don't know how many people know, but I'm actually red and green colorblind, and it is definitely an important aspect of in particular of
Man, I can't see green.
related informational type.
I feel for him. I love that color.
So that
the best.
includes the attacker that'll have a red icon next to them. It's not just going to be color dependent. There'll also be a texture. There will also be an icon like a sword to represent that. For defenders, you'll have a shield and a blue background with a different type of texture on that. Same is true for a lot of different user interface points that'll be present that are informational in the game as well.
Cool. Did you guys want to talk a little bit about maybe Castle Siege and PvP stuff, or are you ready to move on to the next topic?
Oh yeah, no, we can absolutely talk about that a little bit. So, as was described kind of in the video with regards to the taxation and each week kind of
Yeah, you see that right there. That just
the ultimate Castle
black
Siege
hole
itself.
type spell
One of the important
animation there needs
aspects
work for
on
sure.
a weekend basis that's going to occur
But
between the relationship
this is
that the
6
castle
months ago,
has
so
with
they
nodes under
may have
its
addressed
purview
this
in its
already.
economic region is going to be moving those NPC generated caravans at a time that the lore determines of the castle, but it has to be during one of the weekends in the weeks preceding. And if they don't make that choice, it'll be by default at a certain time period that's central to the server's core time zone. But those then NPC-driven caravans will make their way to one of the subordinate nodes around the castle, and those nodes, obviously are different than the node system in the Vera proper. These are dedicated specifically to the castles. And as those tax revenues come in, they help to build and support one of those nodes corresponding to which week it is. There's 3 nodes, 3 preceding weeks to the Castle Siege week. And then players who are perhaps enemies of that guild have an opportunity to intercept, destroy, and raid, loot those caravans. So while a lot of those systems aren't currently set up in Alpha 1, we do have a caravan system set up that you can assign yourself as attacker defender, We have some of the castles that are present in Alpha 1 that you can see, and we just kind of wanted to use this kind of demonstration to show you what this might look like at a smaller scale. Yeah, Jeff.
It's definitely pretty cool. I'm curious to see how it works on those bigger scales that you started
When it
mentioning.
comes to classes and PvP, what is kind of like your design theory on like designing for that? Obviously, I know we have a lot of people who are interested in PvP, and
Seems like it's a pretty big part of this game.
64 classes.
I mean, yeah.
So I'm not a huge PvP guy, but what I can say is that I do find things like battlegrounds and big groups versus big groups fun, versus like 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3 is more like arenas. Those aren't really my cup of tea, but there's a lot of people who really enjoy that sort of thing, and it seems like they're taking that part really seriously. And so let's hear what they have to say more about it.
Yeah, it's a big, huge, gigantic thing to work on, right?
Yeah.
But the way that we're approaching it philosophically is not 1v1 combat, right? Like that would be an impossible thing for us to really do, and it's not really a direction we want to go with the game, right? We're
Makes sense.
really focused on sort of mass PvP, right? So not like one-on-one kind of encounters.
I can get behind that.
Party,
I like that.
Party encounters, but like these big, fights around nodes, these big fights around castles, these big fights
Freeholds.
around caravans. So
Caravans.
a lot of it is trying to figure out ways and balancing ways for classes to work together synergistically, so that like your focus as a team is building out the best, the comp that synergizes best for what you've got, and we balance it that way. So we balance party on party, we balance party group on group, and sort of the different configurations of those things. So we look at it more as a macro scale balance problem rather than like a micro scale balance problem. So there will certainly be classes that, especially depending on the build, because we are a build focused game, that just blow other comps out of the water, and that's okay for us. But what we do want is for parties to be relatively well balanced, as long as they've been built sort of with the encounter in mind.
Right, and just to expand a little bit on that.
And balancing
we
is always a
have
challenge, but
specific terminology when referring to archetype.
you know, even though like there's going to be certain comps that are better, at the end of the day, picking, you know, a character in a class that you enjoy and you have the most fun with, you're going to be more motivated to play that class more, get more used to that class, get better at that class. And at the end of the day, even though if you look at stats, like let's say a certain classes or a certain group comp is better, you know, you're going to perform better with classes that you're more interested in, more genuinely interested in, and the ones that, you know, you're the most motivated to play, you're just going to get better at it. So at the end of the day, really picking a class that you want to play and a style that you want is going to benefit you more than, oh, but I guess I should be a mage or I should be a Templar or whatever just because that's what people want or that's what's really good. Well, sure, those roles may be needed, but at the end of the day, you're going to play better if you're doing something you enjoy playing.
Types and classes. Classes are the combination of your secondary archetype with your primary archetype, right? And a base archetype is one of the 8 base.
And remember that, so you picked your primary and you can't change that. There's apparently there's going to be a way to change a secondary, which would change your overall class because you pick one and then the other, and it creates a new combination, a new class, and that's why there's 8 classes by 8, and so there's 64 different combinations. So I really like that structure. I like that a lot.
It's archetypes.
Lots for customization and
Martial
flexibility.
or arcane, the ranger, fighter, tank, and rogue, and the cleric, bard, mage, and summoner. Right. So those are the 8 archetypes. Now, when you look at balancing, as Jeff was saying, we kind of focus more on the group and even larger as a balancing aspect. And what that means is we're adhering to kind of the Holy Trinity principles, and at the same time that represents kind of a rock, paper, scissors balance
Holy Trinity,
individual
tank,
archetypes and
DPS, healer,
classes. So
or
it's
support.
understood that some classes and or archetypes on a 1v1 basis will be disadvantaged or will have the advantage, and that we're okay with that because again our focus is the larger
Scale. So it's what he's essentially saying is that in the one-on-one or smaller group basis, there are going to be certain archetypes that are going to have advantages over others, but that's okay because when there's advantages, there's bound to be weaknesses, and also they want to focus more on encouraging bigger groups. And in bigger groups, those differences are going to be more minor, more for the competitive one percenters, let's say.
And with that being said,
And that's appropriate.
the active skills stem from your base archetype. So from a design standpoint,
Okay, interesting.
even though augments do radically change the way your active skills
Active skills from your primary.
provide
Okay.
you abilities,
That makes your primary an important
there's
decision.
still a
Very, very
primary
important decision.
focus on the base archetype itself and not the 64 whole classes, so to speak.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a really good point, right? Where we're not really talking about 64 true classes. We're talking about 8 classes with 64 variants. And again, like how you build those variants.
I mean,
gotta
eight is plenty.
build
On
those.
launch, that's plenty.
You know,
That's a
you
very
could
good amount.
Lean more into your subclass or lean less into your subclass, depending on where you're putting your points.
Can I just say it's really hard to take Jeff seriously when he's got that costume on.
Variance between the 64 classes as you might expect, right? It's not like there are, 64 different versions of, I don't know, like radically different classes. There are 8 classes, 8 archetypes that are all, they have the same chassis, but then they have different augments put on top of that to sort of change the performance of that chassis to
Right.
make a car.
Okay. Fair, that's a pretty good analogy, I think.
Or caravan. Sorry.
Okay, then.
Awesome. And obviously, you all can ask.
So really your secondary choice is going to complement your primary. And Stephen mentioned that the primary is meant to be where your active skills lie. So it does matter. Even like let's say I choose a cleric and a bard. If I do the cleric first, it makes a significant difference than if I do a bard first and then choose the cleric, because the active skills will come from the bard or the cleric and not vice versa.
Further questions in future updates and stuff like that. So definitely toss us your questions. I know we have a few other questions that are in the mix of things that I will be asking during our Q&A segment. But we're gonna move on to our environment segment. If you guys are both okay with that, we have a lot to go through. So on the environment side, we have a lot of assets to go through. So bear with us as we go through them.
Dwarves, I love me some dwarves. Love me some dwarves.
In regards to junior buildings.
Ignore my obsession with little people. I just like role playing as little people. I'm 5'8", 5'9". No, I'm not. I'm a little under average. I'm not short, but I just like it. I just like them. And I like them in fantasy settings. I do. I'm not ashamed of that. I like them.
Like a lot of our systems in game, it's like a core system. So if you
Don't bash the little people.
about what's happened between last month to this month in regards to that, and I will go through all of these assets.
Sorry, I missed the first part of that question.
I also missed the first. I was hoping
Oh,
Jeff didn't miss
weird.
the first part of the question.
If you guys want to talk, I'm going to go through the junior buildings and objects, and there's a lot of them. If you guys don't mind talking a little bit about the node process and that.
Oh, the node process.
Like
What is-
the work that's gone on between last month and this month. Obviously,
Oh,
it's a core
I see,
system
I
that we
see what
have.
you're saying. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah. So essentially,
Stay on touch, David.
You guys are distracting them. Stop it, Chad.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, moving into Alpha 1, we've started to stand up additional components for how design and environment approach the proposition
Look at that big ass hammer.
within the world. So originally it was a little bit more brute force and manual how the placement of buildings within a node's
Ooh, look at
essential
that.
levels, and as it leveled up, it would unmask those buildings, it would show those buildings, so to speak. What we've done now is engineering has provided tools to essentially give the design team this design data table by which they can drive at scale the larger selection of nodes that exist within the world. Jeff, if you want to expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, so
I like that building.
as Steve was saying before, like the tech for the node system that you've seen previously has all been sort of like the underlying back-end stuff that manages all of that. But in terms of like the actual presentation of the node, it was all fairly static. So we had kind of the same node stamped across the world, and each node kind of felt the same, right? So now what we're getting, what has kind of been unlocked, is the ability to do things more dynamically and more procedurally, so that when a node sort of architectures, and each node starts to feel like its own place, right? So it's not the same node over and over again. Now we've got a node that kind of evolves and changes depending on where it's at and what the environment is and what race has popped it. So we start to get some of that differentiation that we haven't had previously. And so this is what I call like our real node system. Now we can do some really cool things where, you know, when a node levels up, it maintains this sort of the same feeling, so it feels like it's growing out from its city center, right? And it has this identity that it kind of evolves, and people get to understand it. But then when it gets destroyed and it starts over again, people re-level it. It's completely different the next time. So that's a lot of.
That is honestly so cool.
Right now, and trying to figure
Such
out
an ingenious,
sort of the best
creative
way to
idea.
design
They
to
make it
approach
work.
that
You know?
problem in terms of
They make it work. That's
populating
awesome.
And putting quests in, making those quests smart. So that's kind of where we're at when we're playing with the real node system, and that's sort of what you'll be starting to see in these alpha previews. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done there, so it will feel more static than what I'm talking about, but the underlying architecture is there, and as we get more and more assets, we'll be able to sort of build that out and get that full dynamic feeling.
Awesome. And then I do have some other things that I'm going to bring up. So also got some rocks. Like this is kind of like these.
This is no rock.
You know, that's not a rock. That's an overhead.
Yeah, it's like the overhang on the
of that
island,
concept
right?
that exactly that we showed previously in the past. I believe this mesh kind of helps to facilitate that over arc that exists where ships can kind of sail through along the ocean. Yeah.
And that's how House 7
It's
is
a rock. For us, it's like this is the rock.
And those are little NPCs and stuff down there.
Yep, those are little
That's how
NPCs
they
show
and
you
houses.
the scale of how big that thing is. And then obviously we have some more plant life that has been being given some love. I saw you guys commenting on the grass, which is funny because everyone's like, we've had that grass there forever. But y'all really liked it. There's even more amazing plant life coming. If you're a plant mom like me, or plant dad, whatever you define yourself as, there's lots. There's more coming.
Beautiful. Looks great.
I'd like to have my house filled with plants, Stephen. So.
Yeah, I mean one
Make
of the big directives for the environment team, and I know Mia has been amazing in this regard, is each of the biomes really need to have a fairly eclectic selection of plant life, of vegetation, of foliage. These help to create the atmosphere that you are really immersed in. This different climate zone, and that's obviously something that we as players enjoy when we get to see the significant diversity of plant life.
I want to take a moment to comment on this. So I'm not normally somebody that spends a lot of time in these types of games, historically speaking, like MMOs in this case, doing loads of customization to like a housing area and whatnot. There really hasn't been, for me, a space where I felt motivated or encouraged really to take time to customize that space. And this is the kind of game that they're going for. They really want to create that kind of space you're really immersed in what you're doing. And she mentioned she loves plants probably in real life, and she wants to be able to do that in the game. And I think that that's a really encouraging sign to see, that they really want you to be able to have as many options as possible. And I think it's just a rarity to see that nowadays. So I'm a fan.
Because it does lend itself to the immersive nature of the world, and the world just looks so beautiful. It makes sense for us to have
I just
such.
want to live there.
dynamicism. Yeah, absolutely.
I think people are saying, can you grow your own plants and then put them in your house and stuff like that? I would hope so. I would love to be able to like create my own little plants and then put them in my house and pot into them. I just want to live my best witch life. I'm just saying.
She's a green witch.
Yes, there are crops
green
that there's crops you can have on your freehold. There's little garden sections that you can have on the static housing in nodes. There's in-house decor items that will include plants that will progress.
This is a very ambitious
as
project.
You grow it.
It really is.
One of the ideas I really like in some of the decor pieces is, and we'll see if we can get this added. I don't see it as an issue, but I've always kind of liked the idea that.
Sorry.
No, it's not.
Character
it's not too
art
big of a
update,
task,
hair and
but,
armor.
essentially having decor
Okay,
items
let's move to that. We're almost there.
So look
Yeah,
at that hair.
These are so obviously as we continue to move forward in the character art towards essentially when we get to a place of having the character creator we want to present to the players and you guys be able to kind of play with that before launch and save different designs that you have. We take feedback from the players and art is obviously a work in progress and you can see how if you look back a year and a half ago or 2 years ago where the character was or not that Jeff. If you look back 3 years ago, will you really be scared? But you can see kind of how the character progresses. And this is a great example of just the hairstyle and fidelity that's possible of these particular hairstyles.
Looks pretty good. You can
was
see
done
through
by
the hairline.
And she knocked this one out of the park. But just kind of gives you an idea from a fidelity perspective where we're headed.
Hey.
And here you can see male version of the
Looks a little bit like me, a little trimmed.
players can obviously select
So a little bit like if I get a haircut and trim the facial. I can go for that. I like the swarthy complexion. I usually go for that type of complexion when I make characters. So.
They're cool hair
Here.
dudes.
We got our little dwarf friend here.
A dwarf without a beard? That seems wrong.
It
It just
Well,
seems
the
wrong.
shaved sides, like it's a very in style right now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we're going to be moving on to some armor pieces. But I wanted to give that dwarf a little spin. And then, so these first ones are some leather pieces that are on the Kalar, and then we'll be moving into some Bayloon like cloth and leather armor. These up?
Yeah, so those are level 1 through 10, Kalar leather, I think. Yeah. So just to kind of give you guys an example, the in-game armors that are earnable, achievable, craftable, level 1 through 10, you kind of get an idea of where it's, visually where those sets are going to be at from both a silhouette standpoint as well as from a, texture and material standpoint. Give you guys an idea. And then, obviously progression in armors, then this would be a Bayloon 10 through 20. I believe this is a 10 through 20 leather set as well. So this is of the Bayloon, and this is, I'm pretty sure this one's the in-game version. I don't think this is from a cosmetic set. But yeah, just kind of give you guys idea of progression. So as players progress from levels 1 through 10, 10 to 20, 30 through 40, right, each of those tiers are going to kind of, respective to their armor type, are going to progress in silhouette. They're going to progress in, in the intricacies that are present from a component standpoint on the armor, and kind of just continue to level up until eventually you get up to, and you guys haven't seen this yet, but when you get up to like 40 to 50 armor or level or top level armor at level 50, these are going to be pretty significant sets that look pretty badass, or excuse me, pretty bad, but
Bad bug sounds worse
Bad
somehow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can say badass, Steven. You're fine.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. And then the long-awaited next segment that we'll be talking about is our glorious Gourd winners. We had such a hard time voting. We sent out the voting to our teams, and
It wasn't a hard.
no.
well, there was one very clear. I mean, I think there was like
might know then. Well, for this, I'm gonna kind of preface first and foremost that obviously we had our Glorious Gourd contest prize. We want to give a big thank you to AMD for giving us a wonderful graphics card that our winner, our grand winner, will be winning. All of the other
Okay,
winners will
I'm
also
gonna
win
skip past
a
this. I'm
picture
gonna go to
book.
the Q&A
Picture here
because I want to
is
see
on citizenship, and this is from
what they.
Lineker and Sunboy. They both had a similar question. Will citizens and or mayors know details such as a list of new citizens in a node, citizens that have left the node, and who participated in elections? Are you gonna go like mail them all election notices?
No, there will be, well, for election notices, yes, there are election notices that do get mailed to the account.
No, I meant like the mayor, like being like, "Hey, you didn't vote for me. I'm gonna go message you."
Oh, no, you won't be able to see the votes, who voted for who, no. But you will see a list of active citizenships. So that'll be through the node town board, essentially, that players can interact with. You can get a list of citizens there. You can even click on the citizen and get some information about that particular citizen, such as guild affiliation, society that they may be a part of, religion that they may follow.
Very intricate details.
Whether or not they own a property
Like it would be in real life, public
within the node.
information.
And then the list of citizens itself. Yes, you'll get those.
That's very cool.
And we'll probably notify people as people join the city. So, somebody signs up to be a citizen, there'll be a notification like, hey, welcome so-and-so to the node.
Right. And that'll probably be that won't necessarily come across the screen per se, but in the chat box, you'll have a dedicated node chat section
Yeah, that makes sense.
that is just for citizens of the node, and you'll get the notification likely within that chat
Yeah,
box.
kind of like how if I join a guild,
So-
World of Warcraft, it'll
People
show
that
someone,
say
hey, join the
vote-
guild.
Vote by mail. Voter by mail.
Well, there's a lot of potential fraud. No, I'm just
Oh, no, he didn't.
I know.
I knew that was coming as soon as I asked it, but I also just had to. For too much, we're trolls. Sorry, y'all. We have fun. Our next question here, unless you had something more to add to that.
Just to be clear, that was a joke. I
Yeah,
have
that was a joke.
full confidence in our election system in the United States. So the question is, what was the question?
The citizen one.
Yeah.
If they'll have more information like detailed list on new citizens,
Okay, yeah,
who've joined
yeah,
the
yeah.
node, that kind of stuff, who've left the node,
Yes.
and who participated in elections.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, our next question here is from Reasonable Mayhem about sieges. It says, will items offered in personal shops, player stalls, and auction houses, besides raw and processed goods, or will items such as gear and consumables be at risk from a node siege? So if you have a little personal shop or a player stall up or auction house items up, will those be at risk if a node is sieged?
So the way that the stall works differently from the player shop, right? And there's two ideas here. The stall is a rentable space that does not require the player to be present in order to have the items actively available for purchase by other players. They just rent the stall, and NPC there services the stall with what you've decided to link as either a service or an item to sell, and that exists for a period of time, and you pay for that period of time, and then you can leave and you can play. A player shop is where you have a certificate to essentially create a shop with your character, and a little billboard will pop up above you as you kind of sit down for that shop and kind of advertise the custom message that you want to use, that you want to say, and that has to sell things and or services that are on your person. So players can then come up to you and they can interact with you, and so you're kind of
Like a farmer's market?
reside yourself to that shop. With regards to sieges, in the stall scenario, you can link the stall to your warehouse. So it doesn't just have to be in your inventory for the stall. The stall can actually be linked to items in your warehouse, and those items could include materials. Now, materials are at risk during a castle siege. During a node siege. Thank you. So it is possible, I guess, in that sense, that you could lose a portion of those items. So you don't lose whole items in node sieges. All your warehouse contents aren't vulnerable for node sieges. However, materials are. And materials are either processed processed gatherables or raw gatherables, right? Those are the materials. And the same could be true and said for the player shops. If you get killed while being a shop, you would then have the normal death penalty, which could include a portion of your materials and or gatherables that are on your character.
Yeah, and we've answered the secondary part of that before in regards to materials and being
Right.
lost.
And it's important to note, by the way, and this is, again, this will be tested, but in a node siege, when the declaration occurs, material goods within the warehouse of the node that has had a declaration made, those are restricted from movement. You can sell them to players through the stall, but you cannot incorporate the warehouse connection with materials into launching a caravan out of the node during the declaration period. So it's essentially like all trade kind of comes to a little bit of a halt there, and there's a risk associated with it. So.
All right. And then our next question is going to be in regards to secondary classes. And Felix wants to know, or it's with a PH, so I'm assuming it's Felix or Felix Pilots. Will switching my secondary class be subject to a cooldown period? Like, can they just swap around, or do they have kind of like a time frame that they can't do it?
That's a very good question.
You've talked about a number of different ways of doing it. There probably will be a cooldown. There may be a quest associated with it, which would function as a cooldown. We may allow you to have multiple specs that you could swap between with the cooldown. So there's a couple different ways that we've talked about it. We haven't really settled yet. Once we start actually implementing these secondary classes, we'll be able to kind of get a better sense for how it feels. We want them to be flexible, but we don't want them to be so flexible that you can, kind of change your character's character at a moment's notice. It probably, at the very least, would require going back to a node to swap it out.
Right.
But it's something we're still playing with conceptually, and then once the rubber hits the road and we start testing it out, then we'll have some better answers for you at that point.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think it's a very sensitive thing. You're going to see people. What's the costume in May? Oh, this is a video from last, right at the end of October. So, they were dressed for Halloween. So that's why. But this specific thing they're talking about is definitely sensitive. I hope that they take player feedback into account, because they're, and just to make a comparison, Blizzard has, because I played World of Warcraft recently, they had a system like that in place, and a lot of people really did not respond well to the way Blizzard handled these types of scenarios, where you have something that they want to be flexible, but at the same time they don't want it to be this free-for-all where you can just do anywhere. So I think player feedback's going to matter a lot for that. So we'll see where they go with that. I imagine the less restrictive they are about it, the more positive the reception will be.
And obviously, as we announce more stuff with the archetypes, because we have some archetypes.
Barring cooldowns and whatnot. I don't know about cooldowns. I think if you go back to your node, maybe a specific place, I think that should suffice,
But our next question here is actually more of a personal one for Steven. And this
But
is
that's just my thoughts on it.
And they want to know, what race and class are you going to play and why? I already know
Oh.
the class. It's going to be something
Interesting.
aged.
Unbelievable. You can't say that. You'll wake the population.
I know you too well.
Now, I haven't chosen, obviously. I imagine I'll have multiple characters, obviously.
I think it would be hard to decide at this
Classes
point.
and
Yeah.
races. I typically, in what I have played in MMOs, I've played some caster types, usually, or a tank/healer.
I think most people are going to be,
So
they
really,
have like a
I don't
type.
know, across the
A
board.
tank, melee, caster,
Originally,
range
I used to
DPS,
sorcerer
support,
and
healing,
and I really like getting into
There's
tanks
a lot of
and
options,
healing
so.
as well. So I'm kind of everything. I like playing everything.
Because I don't
I'm
want
definitely going to be
Steven,
trying
Steven.
multiple.
Jeff,
Yeah.
what is
Definitely.
what is your go-to normally?
So I'm almost always a hybrid class is usually where I end up. I like being able to be that flex role. So
I like that too,
as much as I
actually.
hate admitting it, I do end up being the kind of like bard style kind of class more often than not.
Support, yeah.
in WoW, I played a druid for a long time.
Druid, the most flexible.
What else?
Jack of all trades, master of
I
none.
often am bards when I play D&D, not on
Oh,
purpose, just because that just ends up being the
He's
most fun.
a
that I have.
power
In D&D, I'm usually a support.
I know.
So like
I feel like
cleric, a
we actually,
healer.
the three of us make a great party because I normally always am a tank or healer. I like to make sure that everyone stays alive, that we're pulling the right mobs.
Fair.
Or,
Tanking is hard. Tanking's tough.
But
It's not for everybody. I've tried it before. It's not for everybody though. It's one of the more important roles for sure.
Anything bad to happen.
Arguably more than a healer.
I feel like you can fill DPS, but when it comes to like tanking and healing, there's some level of skill there that to me, if you don't have the right person in those jobs, everything can fall apart. Like if you have a bad tank, you're taking a ton of damage, they're pulling things improperly, you're not going to have a good time. If you have a bad healer, people are dying left and right. So I feel like to me, those are two really, really strong classes that can turn the tide of a combat.
And just to be clear for the audience so they're aware, not only is Jeff's last name Bard, but he went to Bard College and he plays a Bard. So he's the trifecta of Bards.
Wow.
He can also sing.
A true Bardian.
And he can sing, that's right. And perform.
Can you sing with that costume on though?
We do have some plans for like
Feel like
live
a
events, and I had like a town crier idea that would be in the booth, and he was like, I want to do that. I was like, okay, Jeff, you're in. Just to tell you, a little sneak peek of some cool stuff that we
Nothing
have
wrong with that.
on the marketing side. Our
He's
next
embracing
speaker
his,
is
his
from
nerdy
Guild
side.
Progression from Kadak,
We all
and
got a
they
little bit of
wanna
that.
know- well, if we ever get to
Or
do this, right?
in my case, a lot of
wanna
that.
know, will a guild be able to relocate/respec their skill points? Like, if they reduce their members and want to specialize in a more passive skill/augments instead, can they do that?
So, guild skill point allocation.
So I don't know a lot
My
about that,
initial
so I definitely want to hear about
position
this.
on that is it cannot be reallocated. However, that is subject to testing. And the reason for that is there's specific benefits that come along with your allocation choice, and it would be a little gamey if, in my opinion, you could adjust your skill allocation to meet the immediate need in the moment that's required. So to speak, like
Another difficult,
the size of your guild.
sensitive choice there.
And
So
if you can fluctuate that to be appropriate for specific circumstances, like a castle siege or a guild war, you just kick out a bunch of members, reallocate skills.
you can be a
and
guild
become
that's more
super
geared towards
I don't like that
certain
idea. So
types of content. If you want to be more
my
PvP,
initial
more
design choice there is,
sieging, more
but we're
PvE.
going to test obviously and see.
I think that's
but
fair.
I'd like to see that change.
that's fair.
Yeah.
So once you
But look,
spec
I think player
your
feedback again
guild,
is
you'll be
important.
able to change it.
Correct.
Ooh.
Yes. Now you can create another guild, and that other guild can take a different direction if you want, and that would be, in my opinion, fair. But I do not believe that guild, because of how guild skills and skill allocation affects the guild size.
Okay, Fizzle, are
I
you?
don't think that those should be.
I'm assuming you're interested in this game, seeing as how you're here. You know.
Obviously,
Do you
we're
know a lot
not,
about it?
testing
I'm still learning.
things, that
To
sort
be
of
honest,
stuff,
that's why I'm
because
doing
we
research.
But we will be showing off some guild system stuff in the future, so stay tuned for those things. I know we have an article that's going to go over some of the guild abilities that are coming out as well. So, yeah. The next thing we have is from Neurotoxin about hair, which we kind of showed off a little bit of hair before earlier on. How will hair and beard?
I've been for
and
years now
improvements
since.
in the
Oh wow.
topic
Okay,
in
so
terms
you
of
could probably
how
educate me
present
on this.
hair
I'm still in the
and
learning
That's a good
phase. I'm still in the
question,
research
because
phase, but I'm going to be
disappears,
really diving in
there's
head
a
first
concentration
over the
of hair
next
in places because of the
few
weather.
weeks, and I'm going to be
Yeah,
following
it
it.
depends.
I'm going to be following it very closely moving forward. So, so welcome. Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested. I believe it or not, I didn't learn about it till not that long ago. Just from another YouTuber I saw comment on it, I'm like, Ashes of Creation, what's that? So, I play lots of games. I'm currently playing World of Warcraft, with my friends on and off. We're going to start playing again now with the new classic. And, even I didn't hear about it. I didn't know. So it's not as widespread as you would think, but I'm very, very intrigued and very interested. So, welcome.
depends. So I would imagine, and I have to chat a little bit more with the character team on this, but I believe
Everything looks
that,
great besides combat, and they know that.
helmet
Yeah.
will be flat.
Yeah, the combat definitely needs a little
Moving
bit. I mean,
facial
this
hair
is an
on
older
top,
video,
and
so I'm
the
still
lower
not caught up, but
mesh itself
I imagine that
is
definitely needs some
constructed
work,
to
you
either
know.
cover
But
the face or not cover the face.
visually it looks
But in
great.
almost all
It
circumstances,
definitely looks
the
good.
actual hair
Um,
piece to the model,
The animations and whatnot, they got to work on that. I
you can't
think
have that
the
penetrating.
class system looks pretty solid, pretty customizable. The node system is very unique. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of passion. There's some dedicated staff here that are really, they want to take this somewhere really meaningful. You know, you can see that here. They genuinely care, and they want to make it as accessible to as many players as possible. If they leave in half their promise to launch, it'll be a good game. So, from what I can see so far, and I'm gonna take your word for it too, because you've been following this for a long time, you're probably right. However, I'd rather not settle for half of their promises. Let's push them a little bit, right? Let's give them feedback. Let's push them to deliver, right? Because if they can deliver on most, if not all, then we're talking about a game of the decade type release, you know.
Through the helmet, so that will
Why not?
be masked by the helmet being equipped. Now, players can choose not to have the helmet shown and have their
I would rather,
their hair present. But yeah,
couldn't have said it better,
that's
right?
in almost all
I'd much rather have
circumstances, the hair
delays. It's
itself
done
is
when it's
likely
done.
not going to be.
that should be the mentality that a company has. And a lot of companies in the past, I'm going to stop for a second, like Blizzard, before they were at Activision, had that mentality. And the games were high quality. So many companies don't do this right anymore, you know. And I swear the indie companies, the smaller companies, are the ones that do better. That's just been my experience lately. So take as much time as you need. I'm fine with that. I'm not in a rush, you know. I mean, this game looks great. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not in a rush. You know, I want a polished game, you know.
Talking about dyes, and they want to know, will armor and cosmetic items have multiple slots for multiple dyes or just one? So, for instance, like if there's an outline on the outfit, can I change just the outline color and then dye the insides parts like a different color, or is it going to be like I add a dye and it dyes the whole entire thing?
Oh.
So if you add a dye, it's going to dye the relevant components of the set. So, for example, if you have a full set of armor on you and it's a one-piece cosmetic, and you apply a dye to it, there are going to be sections of the armor set that are flagged for accepting the dye color.
Wouldn't that be kind of difficult for them to make it so that you could do specific? I can't remember the last time I saw a game that had that available. That level of customization, I would say.
Isolate, specifically. Oh, I just want this line to be that color and this line to be this color, and create a rainbow set, so to speak. You're going to apply one dye.
Might be asking a lot there. Might be asking a lot.
You don't always have to have a single costume piece, right? You could have transmogs on individual items, and you could apply dyes to the different items. Black Desert does good with it. Complex dyeing. Oh, interesting. Is that a game? Okay. I'm not familiar with that, but is that a single player game or is that an MMO? Is that a multiplayer game? I feel like a single player game that'd be a little bit easier to pull off. I'm not a developer though, so I'm not certain.
If we've put a standpoint on what our final decisions are, and obviously I know you guys are going to be testing things throughout. But what is your current stance on that?
So that's something we're going to be testing.
A great MMO, but ruined by pay to win. Just insert a great game, but ruined by pay to win. There's too many of those nowadays. Lost count, Gaming's been a cash grab, but it's the biggest form of entertainment in the world now. Trump's shows, Trump's movies, everything. So everyone wants a piece of the pie.
But also from essentially a distance.
Oh, really? Okay. So that's good to know. I'd never heard of a node system in a game before, so okay, that's good to know. I might have to look that up sometime, just to familiarize myself. So thank you for sharing that. Black Desert.
Now we don't have separate types of hitbox.
put that on a separate tab.
For example, there's no head hitbox in the MMORPG like there was in
Black
APOC.
Desert Online.
So from a critical standpoint, you're not going to see
He
greater
claimed
risk of
MMO.
occurring, for a larger hitbox.
Oh,
But
December
the
2014, so it came out a while ago.
That's I don't know, Jeff.
Okay, I have that in a separate tab. I'm gonna look at that later.
It's something that we have to be careful with, and we are aware of sort of the swampiness that can end up if you don't do this right, especially when we're trying to kind of lean more into the action side of things. We don't want, Vec to be the number one choice because they're the hardest to hit, right? But we also need to count for things like, when you collide with stuff and where it makes sense to be able to, where you can access in the world, right? Can Vec get into places with a smaller hitboxes that all other creatures can't? We probably don't want that. So more than likely we'll have some sort of unified or unified-ish hitbox, but again, it's going to kind of, we'll probably have a unified hitbox with some exceptions or some special sort of collision rules based on them, as opposed to kind of just making it smaller for one and not the other. But yeah, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done there.
Right.
Man, there's so much that goes into a game. So you take it for granted when you're just a player sometimes.
I mean, from a dwarven standpoint, what the dwarf lacks.
Talking about
in
dwarves.
height, it
That's
takes
my
up the
race.
beard
My race
size,
right
so
there.
you can just have a
Like the
very
little
massive
people.
beard hitbox for the dwarf.
That's true.
right?
That's true.
And then it's comparable a little bit to the orc.
But the poor Vec don't have it.
That's true. That's true. It is unfortunate.
So hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight into it. I know we have talked about that subject in the past a little bit, but
Yeah,
maybe not
it's a thing that we're aware of, and we've talked a lot
So
about
yeah,
it.
we're almost done with the stream. After that, I'm
There's
gonna take a
problems
look
with
at that
the
Black Desert
implementation,
Online that you
so
pointed
The
out.
goal is to try to find the least worst implementation of it, and make sure that it's both fair and makes sense from a world perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Our next question is from Nick Trina. We have one more after this. And Nick Trina's question is regarding the Underrealm. Will the Underrealm be contiguous or consistent?
Contiguous.
Contiguous, there we go. Consistent. Could it be?
Both. So the continuity of the Underrealm area is going to be based off location. So you're going to have pockets that are far more contiguous across certain regions.
Black Desert Online has a great honeymoon phase still. Play it for a month or two and just try not to spend money in it. Oh, so it's free to play. Initially, it's one of those.
Around natural geographic choke points, essentially, that exist on the above ground.
Yeah, but really, like,
So these kind of provide alternate
1 to 2 months and you're done. I don't know.
for caravan movement.
I'd rather just play a quality game that I can really like dive into and invest, because I'm limited on time as it is. I mean, if my friends came to me and said, "Hey, let's play this game for a bit," I'm like, okay, sure. Then I'm getting a little more out of it because I'm spending, time with my friends. But otherwise, there's so many good games out there. I just can't possibly play them all. Right, I'd much rather have like a handful of games that I'm really, really into, and I can immerse myself in and enjoy those more.
Confined to specific locales.
Yeah, and something we've talked about too, and I don't know, we haven't talked about it in a little while, but we've also talked about nodes, node states affecting sort of what openings are open and what things are closed. So not all.
When your time becomes valuable as you get older and you have less of it, you tend to be more selective, and that's just me. When I was younger, 10, 15 years ago, I had a lot more time. I play whatever anyone else, my friends, some of them are playing
Some
it.
challenges there too. So
I just don't have that anymore. Maybe try at least for the combat. Maybe the best currently, so you know where actions can be with it. Okay, that's a fair point. That's fair.
If I'm a more
Free to play too, so I can. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little look at it. I see it's on Steam actually.
Or heal-oriented abilities, or does it always match my primary focus?
So combat pets are categorized.
I do have a little bit of extra time now in the summer, since my semester's over. So
So as players kind of determine,
we'll see. Maybe I'll try it out in one of these day streams. Since you brought it up, maybe I will.
Combat pets and not summoner based.
Just something I do on my own, just to try it out, familiarize myself, like you
So
mentioned.
you can choose to have a more
I'm open-minded.
articulated
I'm open-minded.
pet that
I
has
am.
tank-oriented skills. or you can choose to have a more DPS related combat pet or a support type combat pet.
Ooh, pets. I like pets. I like
Those will
pets.
also exist. They'll have different categories of rarity as well. Some that are more, hard to achieve, but have better capabilities and skills.
Oh, is she bringing her pet up?
I lost. Oh,
My
there you
cat was freaking out. All right.
go. Is that a cat or is it Professor McGonagall?
It's my combat pet.
Okay, very cool.
She's a witch, a green witch with a black cat. Wow.
So before we go into all of our final stuff and wrap up the stream, Stephen had a little surprise for me. So sorry that this asset is not the perfect.
Pretty.
The
It's not
perfect.
pretty.
Perfect.
So bear with me on that front. Oh,
Oh, put
what
it
is
down.
this? What are all these games, Stephen?
All right,
Oh.
so I just wanted to, before we kind of wrap up here today,
I like
don't forget to
tabletop
talk
board
about
games.
the Extra Life
I have
that's gonna be
Gloomhaven. I have
coming
Small
up
World of
on,
Warcraft.
Saturday, November
Risk.
7th. So that's a week from tomorrow. A good friend of mine,
That's-
Cliff Robbins.
those are the ones that I have.
He owns the Game Empire stores in Southern California, one of which here is in San Diego. He's also a consultant for a future board game that we have planned with Ashes of Creation.
Oh,
and he
okay.
is going to be donating to the charity event 12 games that you can see here that people will have an opportunity to win on the stream.
Game
So
Empire.
what we're going to
I'm
do
familiar
is
with that store.
every
There's
2
one in
hours
Southern
here,
California that I
we're
know
going
of.
to take a look at who
I
the
think
top,
it's 4 hours.
or is it every 4
Yeah,
hours?
it's during those milestone breaks.
Oh,
I think it
well, okay.
equates to
Maybe
4.
maybe we can make it every 2. I don't know.
I had it every 4, so I had
Gloomhaven's pretty
2
good.
wins
It's definitely
during each of the
Okay,
breaks.
that's fine.
And
I'm
then
more
I had
immersive. Like there's a lot to it. It's very
Yeah.
complicated.
We'll
It's
do the top
complex.
2
You know,
donors every
it's not
4
it's not
hours.
that casual of a game. I'd say.
You'll
You
get
know,
one of these,
you can get a lot out of it
it'll be
though.
First come, first serve. You can choose.
Small World of Warcraft, on the other
In
hand, very
addition
casual.
to the,
Short bursts.
the
You can do like 30 minutes to an hour
and,
games. You know,
is there other stuff that comes with that? As well?
but
Yes,
cute,
you
fun
have,
game if you like
we're
the
calling it like,
if you like the Warcraft
it's like
universe.
the Intrepid Extra Life Extra Life 2020 bundle. It will also come with the vintage lanyard, the vintage hat, and the vintage mouse pad.
Yeah, so those will get shipped off to you guys, and this is through these particular board games are by donation from Cliff at Game Empire. You guys are over in San Diego.
Somebody is up.
area. It's a great
San
game.
Diego.
You can
That's where.
Run by, they're a lot of fun.
You'll end
That's
up
where
buying
I knew
everything.
this.
Yeah, but just to give you guys more incentives to show up, and you guys don't you don't have. To
I
go
installed
out
WoW a
and
month ago and
park
vowed
yourself,
never to buy again.
And hang out with us. We're
Sure.
streaming for 20
You know, I unsubbed a few months ago,
we've done it the last few
and
weeks. It's been a lot
I
of fun hanging
feel
out.
like that's a norm when it comes to WoW. You know, you play it, you unsub for a while, you come back eventually. I only started playing a few years ago back in Legion, and I played a good chunk of Legion, some of BFA. I was pretty hyped for Shadowlands, and I liked it, but you know the content updates are lacking, and you know my friends still play it with me though, so that's my main reason for playing it. So I'm gonna try Burning Crusade just because I never played it, and they're gonna play it. So for me, it's like more of a social experience. I would get bored very quickly if I was just playing by myself. So I don't blame you. You know, I'm sure you got your reasons, and you know, respect for that.
Do look at the chat while we're playing. It's good times. And then of course you can go ahead and donate. We made a little bit.ly link as well, which is AOC Extra Life 2020, and that you do have to follow the capitalizations up there. It's you know, for sure.
So that was the next thing on their list was this 24-hour stream. I'm
We also have it
probably
on
not
the
gonna
website,
watch that.
ashleycreation.com/news. All of the details
Guild Wars 2.
are
Okay,
there
cool.
for you to check
I
out.
have not played Guild
On
Wars
that, we do have a new
two.
discussion coming up, so please partake in those.
Did I play Guild Wars 1? I don't remember actually. I might have. But I hear that's pretty good, you know. And see you friend Gil following, yeah.
Changes that they need to do. We do have our monthly cosmetics.
I spent a lot of time in these last few months just playing through some like single player games that I like, and some Pokemon games. I'm a big fan of Pokemon, so you know. I was playing through some of those things, and honestly, it's so much fun to do that sometimes. Just take time and just immerse yourself in a game that you enjoy. And I did that, and you know, you know, now my friends want to play, so I'm gonna play with them. So I did that at Mr. Bidari release. Wow, that's a while ago. That's some dedication you got there.
So if you're interested in checking out the new set, I did give some teasers to those of you who are hanging out in our Discord. So there are some benefits for hanging out with us. But our next set will be swapping over November 7th, 2020 at 11 a.m. PDT.
Okay, it looks like that's pretty much done there. So I'm going to go back here, click on that. Before I do, though, let's drag this over here. I'm going to take a look at I'm going to look here, then I'll go look on Steam as well. Account trend. I've been handed over to its developer Pearl Abyss on February 24th. To continue playing with your existing. You'll go through. Oh, interesting. Okay, it looks they got bought out. Maybe there's their new company, parent company, taking them over. So they're doing a. Okay. Well, I just want to learn about the. Okay, that's kind of annoying. I'm gonna go to Steam then. I'll go to the Steam website and take a look at it from there, I guess. Okay. Pearl Abyss, that's the company they mentioned. Sandbox, living world, experience fast-paced, action-packed. So this is what I'm gonna do. Oh, well, hold on, actually. Let me just read about it a little bit first, since you mentioned it there, Fizzle. Got rid of Cacao is all, nothing important for a new player. Okay, good. So nothing for me to be concerned about. Fast-paced action-packed combat, hunt monsters and huge bosses, fight with friends in a guild, to siege nodes and conquer. Yeah, okay, so there you go. You mentioned the nodes. Let's take a look at this here. Turn the volume up, so I can just get a first impression. This is Black Desert Online. Apparently Ashes of Creation got their node idea from this game, so I'm intrigued. What is he doing? Studying? Deciding what to do. Very ripped. It's a cute little pet. Sage Awakening video. Oh, okay. Okay, so maybe I should look at something else?
What do you think? Finding joy in the journey rather than the...
This is all Pearl Abyss, so, okay, thank you for pointing that out. I just want a good first impression. Okay, let's see. Remastered, okay. Pretty cool special effects there. Ooh, dodging. Is this another specific? It does look pretty good. I was just like, wow, really? Is this is how in-game looks? Guardian, okay. Fizzle, if you don't mind, just like, it's very grindy, yeah, okay. That sounds like it. So that's probably where the pay to win comes in. They create a problem and they solve it with the monetization. Could you just like summarize maybe like in a sentence? Like what is the pay to win aspect? Is it the quality of life? Is it like just boosting? Or what is that piece that is, I guess you say, ruined the game. Because I've seen that happen many times before. I'm just kind of wondering, you know, just like very briefly, you know. Take a look at this. That one looks really good, like, visually. Whoa, it's like Bioshock looking almost, that helmet, right in view. Equipment upgrade because it can downgrade. Unlimited progression game that sells must-have progress files. Oh wow. There's unlimited progression, and if you buy, you can speed that up. Ooh, wow. That sounds really problematic. So your equipment can downgrade? Like how so? What if you get killed or something, or if you don't work on it? You know, so they give you this endless goose chase, and then you can speed that up with transactions. Because if that's true, then man, that's a monumental failure. I would not pay to contribute to that. Just out of principle. You gotta have principles, you know. That looks really good, by the way. Wow. Like, that looks really good. Looks aren't everything. I mean, it's nice. It's great. It's beautiful to see, but it's not everything. See, this game got ruined, you know? Gameplay got ruined. Small percent chances of success, and hey, you can pay to make it so it doesn't downgrade. Oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, it's definitely a strong case of create a problem and solve it with money. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, you know what's funny is, like, look at recent reviews is mostly positive. Let's go see what people say about it. This is my last day. 8,000 hours. Is this you? Let's see. This was my last day playing video. After 8,000 hours, I've finally given up. After reaching 100 billion worth of gear. This is a great game, which has given me hours upon hours of playtime. It has not been a great journey, but sometimes I will never forget. But something I'll never forget. I finished after gambling all my gear and selling everything I owned in-game for more cash. I've used about $340 in the game after playing the game for over 3 years. Okay, that's kind of fair, you know. And playing the game for over 3 years. This is a game I think everyone should try because it kills you inside. Thank you for being a huge part of my life. Goodbye. Oh, that's depressing, you know. This is not a multiplayer game. It is a single-player mess until level 50 plus, where the only way to honestly interact with the players is to do PvP content. Every step of the way, there are annoying paywalls, which literally taunt you to purchase content if you want to have more convenient experience. The player should never have to pay for inventory space. There's no player-to-player trade system. You cannot trade anything but health potions. You cannot make a costume for your friends. You can't involve yourself in any meaningful way with other players. What the hell? This is an MMO? An MMO and you can't do that? Are you serious? It should be the opposite. Like, look, Ashes of Creation is trying to encourage the opposite. They want you to interact with players. They're focusing on content that promotes that. But still you're forced to load into the world of the players and experience the world area loading due to crowding I've ever seen. I really want to like this game. But the sales strategy is to injure the player, then sell the bandage. Yep, there it is. I can't get behind that. I wouldn't either. All the systems in the game outside of PvP make the multiplayer aspect of the game seem irrelevant. Wow. The definition of an abusive relationship. Oh boy. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing in this game. 10 out of 10. Wow. If you plan on playing with a friend, don't. This game is a sort of solo sandbox, infinite grinder. Okay. Yeah, it's quite different, but still worth experiencing the world combat. Okay, so it sounds like this is something I can just do on my own for a little bit on the side. And you know what? I probably will. I'm going to give it a try. What I'll do is I'm going to... whoops, not that. Update. Okay, there's that. I'll go to Black Desert. Oh, so it's not like free to play. It's $10. It's not that much, but so what I'll do is I'll add it to my wish list, and I'll get to it sometime soon. $10 is nothing. I mean, I pay more than that for just a month of WoW sub, so that's worth the experience. So, okay. Okay, thank you, for bringing that up. And since I'm really interested in Ashes of Creation, I'm gonna take a look. Yeah, they make it free sometimes. Dude, $10. Yeah. That's fine. I don't mind paying that if I can get, like, look, think about it this way. If you go see a movie, and I've made this point, I love this analogy, and I use it multiple times. If you go see a movie at a theater, how much is it going to cost you, right? For 2 hours, right? On average, 2 hours. It's going to cost you more than that. I'm sure I can get more than a couple hours out of the game, so $10 is fine. And, whatever, I won't do the microtransactions in game, no, I won't do that. I'll just do it to try it, and say, I don't care about critic reviews, really, so. Okay, interesting. I'm glad I got to take a look at that. Let's see here. Still got a little bit of time, so we went through that. I want to take a quick look at this. Let's give it a like. I want to see this cleric little gameplay. It's only 2 minutes long, so let's take a look at that. As I like clerics, so I may have one as a support class if I'm playing with friends and we need a support, Kela, cleric, the active skill tree. So if you choose this as your primary class. Castigation lashes your target with holy energy, dealing direct damage. Hold on, gotta read that. Provides health regeneration and mana restoration for you and allies. Okay. So you get to do damage and support. Chain heal. Okay. Fills the surrounding area with radiant energy, damaging enemies and healing allies. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Divine Censure throws a radiant spear at the target, dealing damage. Anytime the target is attacked, the attacker has a chance to get healed. Okay. Why not make it just... I don't like RNG mechanics. Just make it a consistent amount. It could be a small amount, right? I'd prefer that, but that's the feedback I would give. Resurrects a dead ally. Usable in combat? Or not? Makes a big difference. Damnation curses your target, dealing holy damage over time, so a dot, and lowering their damage output. Dot and debuff. Nice. Nice. A swift active heals your target. Okay. Just a quick heal. Holy power rips at your target's spirit, channeling damage over time. A holy energy blast damages nearby enemies at the end of the channel. Okay. It's kind of one of your more maybe damaging skills if you have a moment to channel. Holy power crushes your target, dealing direct damage and lowering their damage mitigation. Seems like it fits the fantasy pretty well, the skills they have here. I think I'd enjoy playing that. Oh, wait. There it is. There's the volcano that I like a lot. I'm obsessed with the volcano. It's very cool to me. I don't know why. Looks great. Looks great. Like what I see there. Okay. No, that's not gonna. So they had their 24-hour live stream. I don't think I'm gonna go into that. What's this next thing? Developer update. So this is their next one. It's an hour and a half long. I'm not sure I want to do that. I kind of want to see this mage one and maybe this boss fight footage. So I'm going to take a look at the mage first. Leave a like, support them. Let's take a look. Okay. Empyrean mage. So Elven. Let's see these active skills. What elements are we gonna see? I wonder. Fire, instant damage. A little bit of a channel there, makes sense. But cool animation. Lightning bolts. Okay, so in a line, so it doesn't chain to them. Maybe there'll be a chain lightning of sort. Black hole. Summons a black hole to target when it slowly pulls an enemy targets. Does it do damage too, or does it just more like a CC? Very cool animation. Drains your target, converting their health into mana for yourself. There's that teleport. Blink. Blink. The same name for the mage in WoW. And other games I've seen. Very cool animation. Create a field of lava at a selected location. Deals additional damage in the center. Deals area damage around the caster. Okay, so that's cool. I think that's very cool. Interesting. Meteor storm. 3 meteors. Each meteor deals large area damage. So timing it. I saw this one or this one. Prismatic beam. Spawns a gigantic prismatic beam of energy that can be aimed around you. Deals large damage to enemy targets and slows their movement while being hit. Okay, I'm glad it does this slow, because I was going to say, if they could just run out of it, it'd be a little too easy there. So, they gotta move, but they're going to take some damage. Combine that with your black hole. Oh, there's no chain lightning? There's got to be a chain lightning. I'm sure that's not all this is. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Very cool for our for anyone who's interested in casting classes. So that's pretty good. We have here. So it looks like there's. So this is the development update on December 22nd. This one has. It looks like it's just the boss fight footage. It looks like it's separated from that. So. Because I noticed they did that earlier too, where here they had the mounts, and then in the developer update they talked more about it. So, I wonder if I just want to wait to watch the development update. Let's see, to see the boss fight footage, so I can watch the December one to see that. I mean, I'm probably going to watch the development update at some point, so I think that makes sense. I'm just going to watch those with the development update. Is there any other... oh, the tank! Okay, so we got a healer, a ranged casting DPS. Let's look at the tank, sure. I think I'm going to do that for now. Take a quick peek. Because I'm going to be streaming only until about 2:30. It's usually when I have lunch, so I don't want to rush through those development, and I want to be able to spend a good amount of time on them. Kayla tank. It's a pretty sweet looking armor. Weapon toss. Strike your target and increase your block chance. Or threat. Ultimate Defense provides increasing mitigation based on missing health up to full invulnerability. Reduces movement speed. That makes sense. Depends on how much health you have lost. Pull your target. Generates additional. Come over here. Scorpion would like a word. Lacerates, slashes your target, dealing instant damage and bleeds over time. Generates additional threats. Myrmidon, strikes your target, increases your damage mitigation. Generates additional threats. Seeing a pattern here. Onslaught, charge your target, provides a small damage absorbing chill. Generates. Very cool, I like those charging abilities. Shockwave, stomps the ground in front of you, knocking down and dealing damage to all targets. Okay, so a little bit of CC, a little damage. Resounding Smash, smashes the ground in front of you, dealing damage to all targets. A second hit resounds on the primary target. Generates additional threat. I like that charge. That's a very cool. Very nice, very nice. So that's a quick look at each of the different roles that we have, and I'm liking what I'm seeing very much. So let's see. I have until next Friday for the next developer update. So I'm definitely gonna ramp up the research here, and I want to get through all of these. I want to be completely caught up by the time we have the next stream, so that way, I'm all up to date, and I'd love to be able to, it'd be great to be able to ask questions, if I can get in that Q&A. I don't know how it works exactly, because it'll be my first time attending, but, I'd love to be caught up to date so I can feel knowledgeable enough to ask questions, Are you guys, do you guys attend those live streams yourself? If you don't mind me asking. I'm definitely going to attend those. Sometimes? Okay. Well, if you don't, for whatever reason, I'm going to cover it. So feel free to, come back and check it out. I'm definitely going to cover that stream. So. Can you share a video? Yes, of course. Absolutely. You've been extremely helpful today, and thank you for the follow. I do see you did that, to compare combat. Yes, please. Okay, let's open. Where did that... Ready? Where did that go? Okay, there it is. Ah. Oh, is this the Sage Awakening video? I don't watch them. I'm mainly waiting for beta before I start fully following it. Okay. Well, you know what, Saint? No worries. By the way, welcome back. No worries. I'm going to cover it. So you can always come back and, take a look at some of the covers that I do, I think we're still... I don't know if a beta is going to happen this year. I'm definitely very interested in a beta. The more I see, the more I like. So, the question is going to be, for me, is it going to be beta 1 or 2? Am I going to do the $75 or the $150? I haven't decided yet which I'm going to support, but just know that I'm going to cover it. So even if you don't follow that, I'll be working on that as well. So I'm going to take a look at this video real quick that Fizzle just sent me. The combat looks really awesome. You feel powerful. Just watching you feel powerful. Beta will not be this year, yeah. I didn't think so either, but if they're doing Alpha 1 and a 2, that's probably what they'll get to this year. Just fine, take all the time they need. That is super sweet, man. Oh, man. feel like Thor, the god of lightning or something. Oh man. Like in a group, this just seems epic, you know? This is where I want Ashes to get to. Yeah, I mean that's very cool. You know, when did they have this update? Let me see. Oh, this is new, huh? Goal that has been talked about to complete the Alpha 1 process before the end of the year. So probably seeing Alpha 2 first part of next year. Okay, that seems fair. So if we see Alpha 2 first part of next year, then Headhunter, then maybe later in the year we can get to a beta, maybe. You know, so 2022 maybe. And then, well, I mean, ideally we're talking then 2023 would be probably the earliest release, which. Again, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not. I want a game to be done when it's done, you know. So I'm gonna be following this game for sure, you know. And alphas are not my thing. It's not my cup of tea, you know. It's too buggy. I'm a casual player, you know. Betas I'm fine with. Betas I'm fine with. Possibly will depend on how the development process goes. Yeah. I mean, depends on their feedback. Depends on decisions they made. There's a lot of factors, you know. So. 2024. Okay. You know. I mean, there's a lot of games that I'm waiting for that aren't coming right now, so anytime soon, you know, that we're talking a couple of years out, you know, so I'm fine with it. I got plenty to play. Honestly, can I just say, it is a really good time to be a gamer. It's an awesome time to be a gamer, honestly. There's so many good games out right now, honestly. Like, as much as we, you know, complain a lot about a lot of poor decisions made by a lot of companies, there's so much competition out there, and competition's a good thing, that it's a really good time to be a gamer. It really is. You know, there's just so many options. There's something out there for everybody, you know, depending on what your style of game is. If you like more of a single player game, you like a sandbox game, you like a big multiplayer MMO, you like first person, right? You like even, you know, mobile gaming, right? There's something for everybody. So it's a great time to be a gamer. I have an abundance of games, believe me. Here, I'll just show you really quick some of my library here that I have favorited. These are all games that, you know, I've either played, haven't played yet. Okay, let's see. I played Baldur's Gate 3. This is the only game that I've done early access on. I played it for about 30 hours, and now I'm waiting for the finished product. Darkest Dungeon. Played a decent amount. I kind of got a little discouraged there at one point, so that's why I've kind of stepped away from that. Divinity Original Sin 2, these two games I absolutely love. This is why I love Larian, and that's why I supported them in Baldur's Gate 3. Grim Dawn, I put in a decent amount of time in it, you know, decent amount. This isn't like a whole lot, but for a game that I paid so little, I put a lot of time into it, you know. I've been playing the Diablo 2 Reign of Terramon. I've done a lot of streaming and videos on that here, and that kind of breathed a lot of life into the game for me. I'd say at least 100 of those hours were that mod specifically. This game is an up-and-coming game that I support on Kickstarter. If you like tactical strategy, I've only played it a few hours, but that's because I'm waiting for more content. I absolutely love the direction this game is going, and it's a lot of fun. If you like tactical strategy games in this dark, gritty, Arthurian universe, this is a game that I would keep an eye on. That's for a board game. Shadow of War is a game. I played the Middle-earth Shadows of Mordor, and I really enjoyed it and liked it a lot. This game got kind of ruined by microtransactions. Sound familiar, right? And but I did pick it up for like $5 years later. And I really liked the first game, so I heard they fixed some things, so I may get to it at some point or another. XCOM, I've played and finished this game. Another tactical strategy. A lot of fun, enjoyable. Not my favorite, but definitely very, very good. And I also have this, too, that I have not touched yet. I picked up because it was really cheap. I got to stop picking up games when they're cheap, just because they're cheap. Because I don't always get around to playing them. So most of these games I've played, there's these two that I haven't. So there's an abundance, and I have a lot more games here that I have played in the past too. It's just those are my favorite ones that I've favorited on Steam, and that's just Steam, right? So, there's so much out there for everyone. So, I think it's a really great time. It really is, and I'm mostly a PC gamer. I say mostly, not only. We do have some consoles in the house. Oh, what's with that emoji? Oh, a kitty cat. That's cute. We have a couple of Switches in my house. I have a 17-year-old son who loves gaming, just like me, and I have a 5-year-old daughter that likes to watch us play, like Mario Brothers and that sort of thing, and Pokemon and whatnot. And my wife, who's sometimes joins us in some of those games like Mario Party and whatnot, and there's me with the big dual monitor, expensive computer, just because I've just enjoyed PC gaming for over 20 years now. I know it's more expensive, but I just enjoy it. I like the platform a lot, and that's it. I'm open-minded. I started with Nintendo when I was 5, and I've dabbled in a little bit of everything over the years. PlayStation 1, 2, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and others, but this is ultimately where I've ended. PC gaming is king, console getting closer. I think it's subjective, right? I used to be more of the mentality that, PC master race sort of thing. But at the end of the day, what I've come to realize and accept, and I really preach this a lot now, is gaming is gaming. And I think that if you're a gamer, it doesn't matter what platform you play on, whether it be mobile or PC or console. I think it's, we're all one big giant community, and we are the biggest consumer entertainment community in the world by a landslide, much more than movies and television and shows and whatnot. So I do both well constantly. Each has its advantages. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. So I always just tell people, enough of the Xbox play versus PlayStation and the PC. It's just let people play what they want to play on, and we don't have to judge or comment on that. I mean, I get some people can't help themselves, or they just like trolling. I'm not a fan. I don't indulge in that. Just play whatever you do. How did you get into Follow Ashes of Creation? So I believe it or not, I stumbled upon I watched a video from Asmongold. He's pretty famous in the YouTube and Twitch, more so the Twitch community, and he does a lot of World of Warcraft, and I've been searching for World of Warcraft. I wasn't subscribed to him, but I watch a lot of now I am, but so I watch a lot of World of Warcraft videos with some YouTubers, and I was looking for content on the Burning Crusade, and it showed up in my feed, the almighty algorithm, right? I went here to my home, and here, watch, I wouldn't be surprised. Oh wow, there's actually not a recommendation from Asmongold on the top. Oh look, there's one right there. So there was a recommendation from him, and it was about the recent delay of the Alpha 1 for Ashes of Creation. And I heard him say Ashes of Creation, and I didn't know what it was. I'm like, wait, what? Is that a game? So I looked it up, and sure enough, I got interested and started looking into it, and snowballed. This is not even 2 weeks ago. This is very, very recent, and I can't believe I didn't know about this game, but here I am now, and I'm very interested, to say the least, and I'm going to be following it very closely, and it's been a while since I've really actually followed a game's development this closely, so to say I'm intrigued is definitely an understatement, and I'm going to follow it closely. I'm going to do my research here in the next week or so that I can be fully caught up, so that when the next developer stream happens next week, on next Friday, that I'm going to be knowledgeable enough to be able to ask questions and comment and hopefully gain some insight on where they're going with the game, and I'll follow the alphas, like I said. I'm not going to participate in them though, so I'll wait for a beta, I'll wait. I'll be patient. I have loads to play and whatnot, and so I'm not. And it's just not my cup of tea. But for those who it is, that's great for them. It's just not for me. But yeah, that's how I got where I am, and it's really, I got a lot of good feedback from people like yourself. I was just really surprised, because I'd never, you know, really gotten a whole lot of feedback on some stuff that I've covered or just games that I've played, sometimes here and there, but it seems that there's definitely a big interest in this game. So it's great. I'm having these great interactions, right? And yep, there's the Lazy Peon video, right? that's what Asmongold recommended in his description of that video that I was looking at. So that was the one that I reacted to and I watched, and it was done really, really, really well. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. But yeah, it was done really well. It summarized it. It was very condensed. And I was just very intrigued by the creativity and its uniqueness. And, Fizzle pointed out some of that similarities there with Black Desert Online. So I'm gonna take a look at that game on my own at some point, probably in the next week or two, just to get my fix, I guess, during the day since I have a little bit of extra time. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and like I said, I'm going to be covering it really closely though. And I also download my videos and put those on my YouTube channel as well for people that are not on this platform, But to be honest, I like this platform a little bit more. I like Twitch a little more, just because there's interaction, that live piece. I know you can do that on YouTube, but it feels different to me. I feel like Twitch is more streamer like friendly, obviously, right? So, and but I have gotten good feedback on both platforms, so I do provide it on that space as well. But I'm more focused on this one. Yeah. The interest is huge. I'm one of the moderators of the Ask for Intrepid. Oh, 70K members there now. Great place to ask questions if you've not joined yet. Can I ask a favor? Can you post the link for that right now so I can actually add that? I completely did not think about it. Nobody suggested that yet. Because I definitely would like to join that Discord. Thank you for that. And for bringing that up. You guys have been super helpful today now with helping me become educated in this process, And I'm a casual gaming dad, I game for fun. And so this is the type of content I want to create, and this is hopefully a community that I'd love to be kind of be at the head of in a lot of ways, because I know we get lots of people like Asmongold who are just hardcore gamers, who comment on these things, and I think it's important to get the perspective of others, because just because the competitive and hardcore gamers are the most vocal doesn't mean that they're the biggest. They're not even close. Casual gaming community is monstrously large, So I know I'm very, very, very far from the only one. I'm just, just one, just one of many, So let's see, Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad that you brought that up, the Discord. I did not even think about that. Okay, excellent. Let me copy that link address. And let's see, hold on, home. Join a server. Welcome to Ashes of Creation. Server roles, latest news. Okay. I'll just look around for now. Very cool. Yeah, you'll be able to get answer for any question pretty much that you might have. Excellent. Well, that's good to see. So here I am. Let's minimize that. I'm going to maximize it. Okay, very cool discussion. So I'm going to reserve my questions until I am. There's a 10-minute time before you can type. Oh wow. Okay, interesting. Member for at least 10 minutes. Sure, that's fine. I'm not going to ask a question right now. I'm going to reserve my questions for when I become more educated. I'm still in my infancy, really. So, but by next week, that's my goal. By next week, between now and then, I should be all caught up. So from there, I'll be able to ask questions and maybe provide some feedback as well. So Yeah, thank you. I do think it's a good plan. And I think it's great because I have some time. I have the time between now and the next live stream to be caught up. So once I get to that point, then I'll be able to, I'll feel a little more competent, I guess, is what you could say. Yeah. Races. The Kayla RES, I like this. Yeah, open original. Yep. Let's zoom in on this a bit. I want to look more at the races. So race breakdown. So different types of orgs. Also, there is the Asset Creation Wiki. It has every single thing that the devs have said. It's very up to date if you've not seen it yet. I have not. I have not actually. Gosh, you know, like I need guys like you around just to tell me all this information because I'm okay. Let's bookmark this page. Okay. Very cool. Here to help people. That's what I do. Hey, you're doing an awesome job. Thanks. You know, I would love to return the favor in some way if I could. But no, I really do appreciate that. I do. You know, I'm the I'd be doing the exact same thing if I was you. I'm the same. You know, so just a kindred spirit of mine. Reactive world. See, that's what I like about this. I love this concept. I love this idea. Immersion. What has happened to our immersion? Just there's so few games have that nowadays. Yeah, this looks really thorough. This looks like the community has done a great job with this. You know, I'm excited about it. You know, I mean, it's funny. I haven't look. I just got to hear dungeons and raids. I haven't even really looked at those very much because you know those can be implemented and worked on. You know, just the core of the game needs to be sound. You know. Well, you will have information overload now. Hell yeah. Information overload. It looks like I got my work cut out for me. You know. I'm gonna look more at this page on my own time. I don't want to sit here and read stuff with people here streaming. You know, that's something I'll do on my own. But yeah, I'll definitely spend the time there. Let's see. Okay. And it's great that there's so many different types of feedback, different players, right, with different. I will find you. Yes. I will find you. Okay, very cool, very cool. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for their time today. I know your time is valuable. I know mine is, so I respect everyone's time. And I'm going to end a few minutes early. My stomach is rumbling quite a bit. But I do appreciate your time here, and thanks for the follows. And I hope to see you again soon. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow around this time if you'd like to join me. So I'm going to be streaming from about 12:30 to 2:30 during the week, as well as the evenings. I'll be playing World of Warcraft with my friends. So that'll be from like 8 to 10ish for now. When my kids finish school next month, then I may extend that a little bit in the evening time. But during the day, I'll be doing a couple hours in the middle of the day right now. So yeah, if you'd like to join me, that'd be great. If not, then you know, well, I hope to see you sometime soon. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a nice day. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.